It's double trouble, double the fun. At African Safari Wildlife Park in Port Clinton, Ohio. See the largest antelope on Earth, the giant eland, and the ugliest creature on Earth, the African warthog. There's so much to see and do, including the Midwest's only drive-through safari. Feed the animals. See live educational shows. Feel the excitement. Have your picture taken with a python or cockatoo. Feel the adventure. Shop the Symbol Lodge gift shop with items available from around the globe. Visit the snack bar or picnic facilities. Enjoy a pony or camel ride. Or cheer your favorite porker on to victory in the famous Pork Chop Down. Bring your family to see the rare and exotic animals at African Safari Wildlife Park in Port Clinton, Ohio. Just take Route 2 to the Route 53 North exit and follow the sign. Only 17 miles west of Cedar Point via Route 6. Open every day, rain or shine.
Morning face. You get it when you don't sleep well. This is what happened to Linda.
Morning, guys.
Good morning. Ah, what is that thing?
It's me, Linda.
Oh my God, it talks! Run!
No, it's me, Linda from HR.
It looks hungry! Save the children! Save them! Stay back! I've got mace!
Ow, that went in my eyes.
Quit moving!
It's called beauty sleep for a reason. And there's never been a better time to get some.
Get 20% off IKEA Sultan mattresses. IKEA, love your home.
I can't believe it. I've been playing 4-on-4 with a barbershop quartet.
Pass the ball, pass the rock. We're open, just pass the ball.
Nah, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico. Yeah.
Believe it, Geico could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
For more.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire. Ooh.
All right, welcome back to The Balance. 1 hour in the can. Thanks to Mo for the BS Sports Show jumping on with us and talking some, Peyton Manning taking the booth with ESPN for Monday Night Football. They'll try to bring back their heydays of Howard Cosell. We'll see if that happens. And also talking about these bubble teams. And we continued our conversation a little bit here with Matthew Embury. Matthew Embury, our official IndyCar contributor, still on the line with us from WSPT up in South Bend, talking about IndyCar. We are 8 days away from IndyCar rolling out in St. Pete, 80 days away from the Indianapolis 500, and we'll be out there in full force, teamed up with our team with Speedway Digest, who joins us now, Steve Wilson, editor-in-chief of Speedway Digest. Steve, how are you, sir?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Fantastic. Haven't caught the coronavirus yet. Hey, in all seriousness, we've been making jokes about it. I've talked with everybody about it today, so we'll just go ahead and bring you into the conversation here. We don't want to take this lightly, but we don't want to fall into the panic mode that maybe the mainstream media is trying to put. So we want to find that we want to be safe. We want to take the proper precautions. But we don't want to live in a bubble. We don't want to live in fear. And Matthew mentioned that he's kind of apprehensive about going to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway because we don't know what's going on. So in the NASCAR setup, the NASCAR format, pick a venue, pick a track, Richmond, Phoenix, Indianapolis, Daytona, Talladega, just pick a track. It doesn't matter. When there's thousands of people gathering at one spot at one time, it's just a big petri dish. So that's already an issue. But this is a concern, and especially more maybe so with IndyCar because this is a kind of a foreign-born type of thing. But everybody's talking about it, but let's talk about it because if you're in the sports, in the racing world, that might be something that you have to prepare for. So let's talk about Phoenix. If you're in the leadership at Phoenix, and this is top of mind, everybody's talking about it, is there anything that Phoenix racetrack can do to say everything's okay, come to the race, nothing to worry about? What should they be doing?
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know how much the racetrack can do other than to go and keep their facilities clean. And I know NASCAR has said that they've put out a statement that they're monitoring the situation and don't think that they're going to make any extra changes, as far as telling people not to come to the racetrack as of this time, but they are going to start taking the extra precautions, bringing out more hand gel, keeping the facilities clean, which, doing extra cleanings and things like that. So, I think this really stems down to the problem that we have a media today that kind of blows these situations up, and while this is a dangerous situation, obviously we also have to remember that in the United States, the number of cases in the United States are relatively low compared to other places in the world, and even so, that the cases that we are having here, most of the people that unfortunately are passing away from this, they are either older people or they have some other condition that has exacerbated this to begin with. And I think we need to be reporting on those facts because, while, you hear of the Swedens and Australias and, these other countries that are just like, okay, no large gatherings, and I think even just a day or two ago, the South by Southwest Festival itself was canceled in Texas because of this, and, you had a lot of the companies already pulling out, but the city just said, look, we're just going to go ahead and we want you to cancel this thing, but I think we're kind of spreading a little bit of fear in that at the same time, and we have to realize that, I think in the United States alone we have something, what is it, like 90,000 people that die every year of the flu, and, at this point, with the coronavirus, even worldwide, we haven't even hit that number yet, but, it is still a dangerous situation. It is a situation that we have to monitor. Obviously, people need to go out there and wash their hands, and they need to do the things that they normally would do anyways to not get the flu or cold or any other something that's going around at that particular time. And but I think it just really comes back and stems to the fact that we can't spread fear. We have to inform people as to what they need to be doing to protect themselves, and by locking yourself in a room in a bubble is, no better than, going outside and not washing your hands and, sneezing in your hand and then, passing around germs. So, there is a happy medium out there somewhere, but I don't think at this point it's time to instill fear and tell people don't go out to your sporting event, don't do this, don't do that, lock yourself in a room, and don't come out until we tell you.
Exactly. So I think there has to be a happy medium. Joining us still, though, a little bit for a few more minutes is Matthew Embury, our official IndyCar contributor. And Matthew, I know you're going to talk a little NASCAR with us now. One of the good things I saw out of the track this week, and I saw the tweet from LaJoy, who said, "Well, look who I found. It was Ryan Newman. He's obviously not going to be in the car racing, but it was good to see him out at the track." Matthew, what are your thoughts about Ryan Newman, the wreck, the recovery? He's out at the track. He's not driving, but they're all good positive signs.
Well, it's good to see him back there. Obviously, he still says he's affected by the head injuries or whatever the case is, so I don't think – I'd be very surprised if he's in a car in any time in 2020. And like I said earlier when the accident happened, I think he's going to have a major think as to whether or not do I really need this anymore. He's up there in age now. He's got a lot of concerns out the track that we talked about, children-wise. Of course, he has separated from his longtime wife, Chrissy. So there's a lot of things besides racing going on for Ryan Newman, and I think the big question in my mind after a crash like that, will he be inclined to get back in that race car or not?
Yeah, and what are your thoughts about that, Steve? I mean, when we look at this, we've seen this happen with other drivers, and I think we talked about this before, Steve, that there's just something in their blood. So, I mean, I think that he'll get back in a car and race again. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've always kind of been of the opinion that race car drivers are a different breed of people, and they, in the aspect of that they go up there and they have a very dangerous profession, and they can. We've seen a lot of drivers be involved in these very vicious wrecks, and Kyle Larson, not too long ago, about 6-7 years ago, plowed into the fence, tore the fence down at Daytona. Austin Dillon himself tore the fence down, tore that car off at Daytona, Ben Kennedy at Kentucky one year in a truck, and these are just in recent memory in the last 4 or 5 years, and these have been very vicious wrecks out there. And these drivers, they'll go back, they stress themselves in a race car again, and go back at doing what they do. I mean, even think about what Kyle Busch did when he won his first championship. I mean, he wrecked an Xfinity Series event, broke his legs in that. It was a very vicious wreck, and he went back, jumped in a race car, and won the championship that year. So, sometimes I think these race car drivers, they're a whole different subset of people in the way that they put themselves on the line, and they're mentally wired, I think, a different way than maybe somebody else to go out there and do those types of things. And will Ryan get back in the car again? I think he wants to get back in the car again, but I think NASCAR at the same time they're going to monitor the situation, because we're in a culture right now where we're so concerned about concussions and other brain injuries and physical injuries now that we've never really looked at in the way that we look at them today. And I think you look at the way that the NFL does their concussion protocols, and NASCAR is now doing something similar, or even differently, in the fact of you've got to go through the concussion protocols on their end and be cleared to get back in a race car. So does he want to get back? I think so. Will we see him back? I'm just not sure. I think he has to go through the process and see where he is. And I know for a long time, you think back to Dale Jr., what Dale Jr. went through and all his concussions before he finally just said, look, I can't do this anymore. I have to step away from the race car. And I think, for Dale, he did the right thing on his end, and we'll see what happens with Ryan when he goes through this process.
Steve Wilson from Speedway Digest joins us. Also, Matthew Embury from WSBT up in South Bend, our official IndyCar contributor. Steve, the Busch Clash moving to the Daytona Road Course in 2021. What are your thoughts?
I'm not really a fan of this, because I think that my opinion is that in the last couple of years, the fans have asked for two things in the last couple of years: more road courses, more short tracks. Charlotte went out there and they changed the way that they're doing things, and now we have a road race out there. Sonoma has changed their road course layout also, and Watkins Glen, and these tracks that we currently do have. I just don't think that just continue to add road courses is the answer to everything. And I know a lot of people were frustrated about what happened in the Busch Clash this year, and a lot of people joked to call it the Busch Crash. We had, pretty much the entire field, involved in one wreck, one way, shape, or form. But I just think they're just adding this to the road course out there. I just don't see value into this, because typically we've used the Busch Clash as a gauge as to who's fast, who's going to do what, and build some interest for the oval track in the Daytona 500. And I just don't see where it builds that interest going into the Daytona 500. Now, I know in 2021 they're going to use the current generation car, because they don't want to go out there and tear up the new generation car that will debut in the Daytona 500 next year. Maybe that's one reason why they're doing this, but again, in auto racing, wrecks are going to happen, and while it's frustrating with what we saw in the Busch Clash this year, I just don't think by moving it to the road course is going to build the same type of interest that we would see by keeping it on the oval race.
Matthew, I know you said you could only hang around for a few more minutes. We're going to let you go ahead and chime in here. Got the race in Phoenix, and, of course, we were just talking about the duel being moved to the road course in Daytona, so we'll let this be your final word, because I know you got to bail.
You mean the Clash?
Clash, sorry.